Well, howdy neighbour, Tom Fiddzy here with my random video review of WandaVision episode 7. This episode, it wasn't really doing it for me, this episode, like not compared to the hype that was the last episode and the ones before that. I felt like this episode was a little bit more predictable. A lot of the stuff that people have been talking about for months on YouTube and stuff all came true, all came to fruition, and it wasn't that surprising. You know, we had Monica Rambeau, even though that was really hype, seeing her getting her powers, that was predictable, and Agnes was Agatha Harkness, which was also predictable. But I will say, well done for throwing out the red herring last week. You know, last week I was watching it, I'm like, you know, when she was talking to Vision, she snapped out of it. It's like, wait, what? Wait, is she not Agatha Harkness? Is she not a bad guy? And actually starting to question it. And then, yeah, this week it turns out it was her all along. She was the bad guy all along. Probably not working alone based on that kind of like little dungeon, the basement that she was in. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, it was Agatha Harkness. So the red herring didn't really last that long as to whether or not she is a good or bad guy. But I am glad that we finally got that reveal. We see her using magical powers. So now we can talk about who she's working with, and not just keep speculating as to whether or not Agnes is Agatha Harkness, because we finally got that confirmation, and with that comes a whole load of new mysteries. Why? Who's her husband? Is her husband going to be Mephisto, the person who I think that she is working with? Is Quicksilver and the kids, how do they play into it? Because we find out that Agatha Harkness has been like creating the world, and we saw her kind of controlling Quicksilver. So what does that mean for Quicksilver? Is he a Quicksilver from another dimension, or is it just, again, we got the questions, you know, is he from like another universe, another dimension, or is he just like an actor with some memories, or just like a puppet, or completely made up? What does that mean for the children? Did Wanda create the children? Did Agatha Harkness create the children? How much free will did they have, the kids, you know? I'm sure by the end of it, they will actually become real kids and be Wanda's kids, and, you know, grow up like normal kids and get their superpowers and stuff. But yeah, I think maybe we are going to get that kind of comic book origin stuff where, you know, they are spawns of Satan, as Quicksilver said last week, and linked to Mephisto. Why Mephisto? Why do I keep saying Mephisto? Because when they go into the basement, the second Agnes was like, oh, they might be playing in the basement, I was like, Wanda, don't go in the basement. This is like classic horror movie thing where you don't go down into the clear trap, into the creepy room. But she went down there. You saw like the wall with the vines, the castle-like walls. I was like, okay, here we go. She walks in there. First thing I noticed is there's a great big statue of like a ram or like a goat. I think it was like a ram. Straight away with that, I'm like, right, here we go. Satanic stuff. There's like a glass cabinet full of like skulls and stuff, a creepy book. I'm like, here we go. Here we go. It's some satanic ritual thing. Agatha Harkness comes out, revealed to be a witch, giving the witch cackling. And yeah, I think it is Agatha Harkness is working with Mephisto, probably trying to like revive Mephisto, give him like corporeal form or something like that. Because remember, if you go back to Agnes when with the dog died, yeah, it was confirmed that Agatha Harkness did kill the dog. But she says then, when Wanda's like talking about bringing people back to life, she's like, can you bring people back to life? It's like, why do you want to why are you talking about that? Why do you want to bring someone back to life? Surely it's going to be with Mephisto, and this whole thing is based around that. And it does make me question, how much control does Wanda have? We see in this episode Wanda's kind of giving up a little bit. Vision as well, which we'll talk about more in a little bit. Everything is kind of changing around the you know, like all of the lamps and everything are starting to change, and she's kind of just like, I don't care anymore, you know. She's gone from being a mum, kind of gone back to just like, I just want to chew in my pajamas, you know. Agnes, take the kids away, I'm just gonna have a me day, you know. She's not being a responsible parent, because she hasn't really been a parent for that long, and she, you know, she hasn't gone through it. It was all imaginary, so she's kind of like just reverting into like denial, and just kind of like having like a hangover day almost, like, you know, she's having like a hangover day, like a breakup day, and she's just chilling and moping around, and she just doesn't care anymore. And Vision as well was going through similar things. He finds out who he was before, he gets all of the backstory, you know, he gets caught up on Age of Ultron, which I'm always getting recommended whenever whenever WandaVision finishes, it's like, hey, you might want to watch Ultron. I've already seen it multiple times. Stop telling me Disney Plus. Just because I haven't clicked on it on your thing doesn't mean I didn't watch it on Blu-ray. But yeah, so Vision he's starting to find out who he is, and then he's also starting to be like, well, old me used to care, was the one who was like with Wanda and used to care and stuff, but new me, I don't know any of that stuff. That old Vision is like a stranger to me. And then he even starts being like, why am I even playing along with this? That they're filming him because the sitcom this week is The Office, and they're filming him. He's like, why am I doing this? And then later on, depending on when that was filmed, that section, they're at the crossroads with Darcy. Darcy's the one who's filling him in. And it's a bit of a silly scene, probably my least favourite scenes in this episode, where they're stuck at that crossroad, and then it's a red light, and then there's road workers, and then there's kids walking past it, all trying to stop them moving around. It's like, you're in a made-up world. Drive through that red light, drive around them, run the kids over, assuming whether or not they're real, I'm not quite sure yet. But why are you playing along with the laws of this world? And Vision, in the end, he's like, why am I doing this? And he just flies off. So good stuff for Vision, I think. It could maybe lead him to become a little bit more of, not necessarily an antagonist, but he might care a lot less about the world that he's in. It'd be good growth for his character. Interesting to see where he goes. Is he going to be, how is he going to feel towards Wanda? The fact that he was very much talking about it was the old Vision that was the one who was with Wanda. Darcy mentions that, you two definitely want to be together, but it seems like he's going through a bit of a crisis. So how is he going to be dealing with Wanda when he next meet? Is there going to be a little bit of confrontation to them? Is he going to start tearing down the set, so to speak? So yeah, good stuff for Vision. His character I always found to be one of the more bland Avengers, so this is really good growth for him. Really into his story in the series. As I said, Monica, she got her powers as well, which was very, very hype. But she didn't really seem to react to them. She was doing some of the stuff, but she wasn't really noticing. So I'm not sure how aware she is that she has powers, or if she thought it was part of Wanda's illusion or something. So that was a little bit weird, I'm sure, based on what we saw at the end of this episode. And if you didn't watch it, there is a mid-credit scene, and I will be spoiling that soon. So yeah, there was a mid-credit scene after like the the bit where it goes through like the TV before it gets to the standard credits. There was a little mid-credit scene there. So if I was about to click off of it, and then my mouse cursor just happened to scroll over that bit, and I was like, oh, there's an extra scene in there. So yeah, if you're like me and you were gonna get rid of that 8 minutes of credits, no, there was an extra thing in there. So if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it, because I'm going to talk about it in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, we get Quicksilver at the end. So are we going to get Quicksilver versus Monica Rambeau in the next episode as well? And finally, I do want to talk about probably the biggest disappointment with this episode, and that was the aerospace engineer. It was hyped up. Probably one of the biggest mysteries in the show, along with the Agnes thing, is who is this aerospace engineer? It was all people were talking about. There were loads of theories on it. Even the actress was like, you're going to love who the aerospace engineer is, who the reveal of that person is. And we get there, and it's just the moon buggy with tractor wheels. Where was the aerospace engineer? Did I miss it? Was the military woman they're talking to, was her character more significant than I realised? Was that a name that has big meaning in the comic book? Because it wasn't like a Reed Richards. My ears didn't go, huh? Fantastic Four, I heard someone mention Reed Richards. We didn't get any of that. I was looking at the moon buggy thing or whatever it is, looking for a 4 on it, and I couldn't see a 4. It just had sword on it and stuff. I was trying to see if there were any Easter eggs in there, so who built it. As far as I can tell, the aerospace engineer didn't turn up. Are they going to turn up? Well, I think the fact that the actress who plays Monica Rambeau was actually talking about it, like, I can't wait for you to see them, means that they are probably going to turn up. And Jimmy Woo is still outside, so he's probably going to be the one who is talking to that person as they try and figure out what's going on inside. But yeah, that was a bit of a big disappointment. They were like, because they were driving in, she was like, there it is. And it was like, oh, here we go, I'm on the edge of my seat. And then it's like, here's your car. And then it cuts away. It's like, what? No, Where's the aerospace engineer? But yeah, so overall, this episode, yeah, it was a little bit of a disappointment. It was still great, don't get me wrong, but just compared to the last few weeks, it was a bit of a disappointment. We didn't get the aerospace thing yet. And then we finally did get the big reveal over Agatha Harkness, which was fantastic, but it was predictable, so that didn't have as much hype as some of the reveals, like the Quicksilver reveal and that we got previously, and the kids getting their powers and stuff, because it wasn't really sure if they were or were not going to do that. So there was still a big, like, bit of excitement. But then with the Agatha Harkness stuff, we kind of knew since the series began that it was going to be them. They almost got us with the red herring, but they didn't quite get it. They didn't quite get that same hype. But I am hyped as to where that can go. It was just like I was sitting there, I was just like, yep, cool, confirmed. And then Monica getting her powers, also while hyped, is also predictable. I am surprised by how much they went into her powers. At first I thought it was just going to be the eyes, but then we saw her do the superhero landing and stuff. So yeah, they're jumping into that quite quickly, which is very exciting. And obviously, she's been going forwards and backwards. That's why her powers are more developed than other people inside the field. Because I still think that the field is going to create the mutants in the MCU. But there does question, those two cops, the ones that went out of the field before, so they must have gone in and out a few times. So what powers have them two got? Them two cops, who are they going to be? Is one of them going to be like the Apocalypse of the new MCU or something? Interesting about those two cops. Have they got superpowers? We've never seen them again. Were they made up? I doubt we'll ever find out. But yeah, hype for next week. See when it's going. Finally seeing if it is indeed Mephisto that Agatha Harkness is working with, and whether or not we're going to get an aerospace engineer. But this episode was just, it was okay. And as I mentioned earlier on, it was based on The Office this week, but it wasn't really heavily done on The Office. There were elements of it, them sitting, talking to the camera. I do kind of wish when Wanda did it, because she was losing control, I wish like the lamp or something would at least be different every time they cut to her. But it was like The Office, but turned down a little bit. They did the Malcolm in the Middle one really well, and they nailed all of the other ones. But I feel like The Office style wasn't quite captured as well. Maybe because they are phasing out the sitcom stuff. I think the second we kind of got into the basement, which sounds very Attack on Titan, but once they got into the basement, I think that is where the story is now changed, and we are going to get a lot, or probably none, of the sitcom stuff anymore. We might get kind of some Truman style-esque things going on with like the actors up in the real world, but for the most part, I think we're kind of done with the sitcom styles. I'd be shocked if they go and do a new style next week. From like Office and Parks and Rec, where can you really go now? You're up to date with the sitcoms. So yeah, unless they go full crazy and go into like one of the multiple big popular cartoon things like a Rick and Morty style, that would just be completely insane and mind-blowing. But I doubt it. I think we're going to be plot heavy from now on. Bring it on. Bye!